Hey everyone, I want to welcome you to Unboxed, where we seek to unbox the power and potential of every relationship. So, the question today is very simple. How do I uh, handle a relationship with someone that's on again, off again? We're going to answer that question today.
I'm Dr. Robert Davis, family life educator and relationship coach. And welcome to Unboxed, a frank and straightforward conversation about relationships. We're going to talk about family, church, workplace, and all other types of relationships. Join me for the next few moments as we unbox the power and potential of relationships and help you to live your best life.
Again, welcome to Unbox, where we seek to unbox the power and the potential of all relationships. I'm Dr. Robert Davis, and when we talk about relationships, we're talking about family relationships, dating relationships, church relationships, workplace or job-related relationships. Try to say that three times real fast. Job-related relationships. We're talking about every type of relationship that there are. And so I want to encourage you to subscribe, like, and to share. And then also, if you have any questions, please, our email address is right here. Go ahead and email us, or you can direct message us, or you can go to our website and there's a contact us form. You can fill that out and we'll try to answer your relationship questions right here live at our Unboxed broadcast. Okay, let's get into today's question. Today's question comes to us from Jason. Jason, who lives in Colorado, asks, I have been dating a woman for about 6 months. Sometimes we're very close and everything is fine. Other times she will go missing for a week or more and she won't return my calls or texts. Then she'll reconnect like nothing ever happened. Excuse me. I told her that I don't like how she treats me, and she says that her job is crazy, and that's why she can't be more consistent. I broke up with her twice already, but we get back together and things will be good for a while. She promises she is going to do better, but I'm still the one trying to make the relationship work. Is it time for me to break up with her? Wow, Jason, that's some very good stuff that you put down there. And I'll be honest with you, I get this question an awful lot from couples, especially in the dating relationship where there's that on again, off again type of dynamic. And so let me just share a few things with you. The question that you asked me was, is it time for me to break up with her? And let me just share this. Outside of abuse, especially when I don't have all the facts. I have what you shared with me, but I haven't had a chance to pry into it with you. But outside of all the facts and where there is not abuse, I don't tell people to break off the relationship. Typically, I don't tell people to break off relationships, period. Again, unless there is abuse. I tell people not to break off relationships, period. And I'm going to share a little bit with you what I mean about that right before we end today. Now, what you're dealing with right here, Jason, is that every relationship does this little dance. It's where you're seeking to find that balance between closeness and distance. Every person is an individual. And so every person has their own individuality. And so when you enter into a relationship, you start to merge with the other person. You start to mesh with them. And oftentimes, as we are seeking to have our own identity, seeking to maintain who we are, we will find ourselves pulling away from the person. And then what ends up happening is one person pulls away, the other person begins to pursue them. Then that person will start to pull back and the other person pursues them. There's that dance that goes on. There's this one dance where there's always the distancer, the person who's trying to get the distance, and the person who's always trying to pursue them. And what you have going on there is very simple. Where is the balance in our relationship? Where is this balance where we feel comfortable and we're at that, that happy place, for lack of a better term? Emotionally mature people have an easier time finding that balance than people who are still trying to grow emotionally. Emotionally mature people have an easier time finding that balance. So an relationship between two emotionally mature people, what you'll see is that there's less of that distancing and pursuing that goes on. They kind of, right there in that healthy balance. There may be a little bit of it, but it's not to the extreme, where that I'm sensing. is happening in your relationship, Jason. So let me just share with you very quickly how to navigate and to manage this dynamic. Again, I want to encourage everyone to like and to share and to subscribe so as you can stay up to date with all that's going on with Unboxed, and to check out our website and to send in your questions so that we can answer them right here on our streaming broadcast. Okay, so here we go, Jason. What do I do? Again, I don't recommend breaking up when I don't know all the facts, and I don't recommend cutting people loose, period. That's just not a healthy thing. So I want you to determine where you stand in terms of the relationship and to really identify where you are the pursuer as well as where you are the distancer. What I mean by that is, you mentioned that you will call and you will text her and all these other things. I want you to think about this. When you identify that she's pulling back, think about how you typically respond. First, start off with how you feel. Man, when she pulls back, this is how I feel. These are the emotions that kind of run through me. And then I want you to begin to think about what you do when when she's not returning your text and when she's not returning your call. What are the behavioral patterns that you typically engage in? What are the things that you typically do? That's the first thing that I want you to do. The second thing I want you to do is, I want you, now that you know how you typically respond when she's pulling back, and then I also want you to think about, of course, how you respond when she's the one that wants to get close and wants to, oh, let's go out, let's do this and the other. She wants to be with you, snuggle, cuddle, whatever it may be. How do you respond to that? So I want you to kind of figure out, what is your behaviors? What are the emotions that you experience in both when you are the pursuer as well as when you're the one pulling back, or what we call the distancer? Then the next thing that I want you to do is, I want you to figure out where you want to stand in this relationship. And I'm not talking about standing so far as I'm the man, or this is what I want, etc. I want you to think about, where do you want to stand in all of your romantic relationships? Where is it that who is the type of person that you want to be whenever you're involved in a romantic relationship? And where do you stand? And here's the thing, and this is going to be very important. Figure out where you stand. I'm gonna give you some very clear pointers on how to figure that out. But figure out where you stand and don't move from that spot. Figure out where you stand and don't move from that spot. So when I talk about figuring out where you stand, before you get into this distance and pursuing phenomenon, one of the things you have to think about is, how much am I willing to invest in another person so far as calls and texts? So how often do I text, or how often do I call my romantic friends? How do I speak to people in relationships, which in turn is how I expect to be spoken? Of course, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. What is, as it relates to how much I'm willing to invest in a relationship, from a time perspective, from an emotional perspective, all of that stuff. These are things that have to be determined, and you have to understand before you get into the relationship. It's not to get into a relationship and to try to figure these things out. You need to have figured these things out, that this is where I am. This, like a tree that's planted by the waters, I'm not going to be moved. So this is who I am. This is how I conduct and behave myself in relationships. And this is, I'm not going to move from this spot. That's very important for you to establish. And once you establish that, you don't move. And it doesn't mean that you become rigid and difficult, but what you're doing is you're starting to live your life by a set of principles that really do determine and really do express and reveal who you are. So, it's not one of these things, it's not a reactive thing. Again, it's not reacting to how she treats you or how she is in the relationship. It is just saying that this is where I stand, and this is who I am, and this is how I'm going to govern myself in the relationship. This is how much I'm willing to give from a time perspective, from an emotional perspective, from a financial perspective, or any other dynamic or aspect of relationship that there may be. This is just who I am. And once you understand that, it's a lot easier. And don't move from that, because you're now operating from a space of a principled life. It's a principle-centered relationship now that you're a part of, and not an emotional or reactive relationship. See, I don't recommend, even I want to say this, Jason, it may be time to change the dynamics of your relationship with her. I don't know. You'd have to determine that. It may be time to redefine your relationship with her, but I don't recommend cutting off relationships. What I recommend, again, is that you redefine the relationship. So, based off of where I'm standing and what it takes for a person to stand there with me, I understand that you and I cannot be engaged in a romantic relationship. This is the amount of time that I'm prepared to invest and that I expect will be invested in return. This is what I need. This is what I'm willing to give. This is what I expect in return, etc. And so I'm not going to move. I don't want us to stop being friends, but it's obvious that a romantic relationship, which is leading us toward possible marriage or something more serious, is not in the cards for us. And that's okay. And so, but this is where I'm going to stand. And I'm going to now start pursuing other romantic relationships. I'm not going to be a part of this romantic relationship, but we will still be friends. And catch this out. You have that place where you stand with your romantic relationships, but you also have a set of guiding principle for your friend relationships, for your family relationships, etc. Who am I when I'm in a family relationship? Who am I when I'm in a friend relationship? Which, there's going to be a whole lot of overlapping, because when you're a principled person, those principles transcend all relationships. But we're going to continue to be friends. I'm not going to cut you off, because I recognize that I need to have people in my life that want to be pursued, so that I can learn the skill of not being a pursuer. I understand that people in my life who will want to pursue me. I need that so that I can learn the skill of not being a distancer. I need that in my life so that I can be a balanced person. So I'm not cutting off any relationships. We're just going to redefine the relationships. Again, I want to encourage each of you to like, to share, and to subscribe. I also want to encourage you to send in your questions. Our email is here. Also, check out our website, which is www.swg-unboxed.org. And I look forward to seeing you again when we meet here again to unbox the power and the potential of relationships.
Seasoned with Grace, Unboxed also provides healthy relationship training and leadership development for businesses, churches, and community organizations. For a free consultation to discuss your team's needs, please contact us at our website at swg-unboxed.org. That's swg-unboxed.org.